Okay, well, welcome here, everyone. It's good to be with you on this Thursday afternoon again. This is Live with the Staff, and just a couple of things to keep in mind with you, or just to remind you of before we interview Steve Klassen from Winkler Bible Camp. And so just to bring a couple of things to your attention. First of all, just to ask you to remember to register to be part of the in-person congregation this Sunday. We are starting to be able to have more people in the congregation each Sunday. And so if you'd like to be part of the in-person congregation, please give Lydia a call at the office, 204-325-7667. She'd be very happy to mark your name down. We can have up to 100 people in the sanctuary, of course spaced and masked, until you're sitting down. Then, of course, you can take your mask off. But we were keeping track of the numbers that are coming in, and we'd love to have you to be part of the congregation this coming Sunday morning. Also want to remind you, just in case you didn't know it, that this Sunday starts daylight saving time. So when you go to bed this coming Saturday night, make sure your clocks spring forward 1 hour, and then of course you'll be on time for church on Sunday, and we're looking forward to that as well. Also want to remind you that the viewer range with regard to these Live with the Staff segments is now expanded. Previously, it was found simply on Facebook and on Instagram, but we've now expanded it to include YouTube. So if you know of somebody that would like to see these segments but doesn't have Facebook or Instagram, just simply ask them to go to the YouTube channel, the Winkler EMM Church YouTube channel, and you'll find these segments there as well. The first one we did, of course, was last week with Kevin Hildebrand from The Bunker. And so now in our interview today with Steve Klassen, and by the way, Steve, welcome here.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us. Steve is if I understand it correctly, the Assistant Executive Director.
Yes. At
the Winkler Bible Camp. And of course, for those of you who are watching, you will remember and know that Winkler Bible Camp is a long-standing ministry in our community, had incredibly significant impact on many lives. It goes back many years, and of course that's part of the reason that we're having Steve represent Winkler Bible Camp today. We want to use these segments to highlight local ministries that are making an impact in the community, and we want to bring them to your attention and keep them before you, both as something to pray about and also something to get excited about, as we will hopefully be able to move into a new camping season this year. So Steve, welcome here. It's good to have you with us. As we discussed just before we went on air now, I'm wondering if you can maybe help our viewers understand a little bit about what this last year was like for you folks at Winkler Bible Camp. You know, with the restrictions, with not being able to run a full summer program as you would have liked to in 2020. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's almost exactly a year now.
Okay.
A year ago at this time, we're just finishing our dinner theater.
Mm-hmm.
There were rumblings about a virus. We were able to complete our dinner theater before things really locked down.
Okay.
That introduced a few months of uncertainty.
Okay.
We weren't sure March, April what to do, but we knew we wanted to be prepared.
Okay.
And so for us as a big camp, we had 1,600 campers registered at that point for regular overnight camp for 2020.
Okay.
That is a big number to try and shuffle.
Right.
So when we worked through it with the unknownness of what summer camps would be allowed to do, what activities we could use,
mm-hmm.
what spaces we could use, we opted to actually cancel our program for 2020,
okay.
issue $250,000 of refunds,
wow.
which was a huge first.
Sure.
And even in that, we were so grateful for the people who donated and
mm-hmm.
rolled over their fees.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of waiting and hoping to do something normal in summer,
mm-hmm.
we changed it and we did a virtual program.
Okay.
We increased our media department. We were used to making videos, but now we went to making 9 episodes of Wonder World, which was a 20-minute series about 2 kids exploring camp.
Wow.
Just because we wanted to do something to connect with our campers,
okay.
with our families.
Okay.
And so very new and interesting and okay. challenges, but we figured it out.
Okay.
And then other than that, we had about 13 people on site as our spring team, so we're working with that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was different for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we kind of just kept moving forward with what restrictions were. Most of our rentals were canceled. We did a few in the summer.
Sure.
But just a totally different year.
Okay.
So by fall, we had lost most of our income.
Okay.
We just, rentals and summer is by far the majority.
It's huge.
And so we started fundraisers, and we did the drive-through. So instead of a fall supper sit-down, we did a fall supper drive-through, and we were blown away with the response, and both with the amount of people, but also the people who just enjoyed it, and with the finances. Everything was more than normal.
Right.
And so we did it again in November, and we're blown away again. And we did it one more time at Christmas, which is the big famous one, because we thought we were prepared, because we kept doubling and increasing, and we prepared 1,000 meals. Normally we would do 500 for anything we did at most. Wow. But Christmas, with our decorating and everything, we had the lineup on the highway, and we just appreciate everyone who was part of it.
That's fantastic.
And so in the end of the year, with all those fundraisers, we came out okay. It was totally different. We were able to connect through our online programming. We were able to connect with people driving on site and saying hi and giving them a meal.
Wow.
But all of our normal things were different.
Okay.
Less staff, less programming, everything. It doesn't make it less work, which is interesting. Doing like this takes work. Doing video and figuring out how to do that well is totally different. We created WBC Beyond, which is like, I always call it our Netflix. It houses all of our videos for kids and families.
Now, is that easily accessible on YouTube, or what's?
Yeah, so I mean, through our website, it's linked through our WinklerBibleCamp.com website. It's a separate library, but it's actually all hosted on YouTube. So even there, you can find all of our videos that way. And we create a new video every week.
Good to hear.
So just something for the kids and something to stay connected and keep promoting.
Now, I understand, if I remember correctly, was it in February or so that you did a movie night?
Yes.
How did that turn out?
We continue to try new fundraisers. Our Valentine's banquet was not able to be normal. And so we did a drive-in movie theater. We created our own 35-minute program with both kind of funny intro pieces and a little game show piece. A couple of skits that normally we would do on stage, but we did them on screen. And then in the end, Dale got to speak live from a little platform in front of the big screen every night. So really cool. We heard amazing responses. It was a very cold weekend.
Oh, it was, yes.
And so I think our numbers weren't maybe as high as we had hoped, but Christmas was so overwhelming, we really didn't even know how to plan. But honestly, we had the exact right amount of people, because for fitting the cars in and everyone seeing and enjoying it, again, the largest provided more than we knew what we needed. He did that, and so that was another success. It was really neat. We had to figure out how to do a big, 25 by 30-foot screen, and had a semi-truck trailer behind it and all kinds. But it kind of just goes to speak to the creativity of our team. We're not stopped by things. We do view it as a challenge that we want to overcome and try something. And we might not do it again in winter, but we kind of think this whole drive-in, it's going to show up again sometime.
And you know what? That's a fantastic idea. And I'm sure that if the viewers could, sometimes they do comment in terms of response on while we're talking here. But I'm sure our viewers certainly appreciate not only the creativity, but the sheer courage, to do something that's way outside of the box in a time when people are looking at the temperature outside, saying, "Well, how is that ever going to work?" Right? Well, like you said, when God supplies, all kinds of wonderful things can happen when you don't even think that's possible, right? Wow. So I'm glad to hear that, Steve. It's really good to know that you guys are making that kind of effort. So with 2020 behind us, and now looking at 2021, I know that we as a Winkler EMM pastoral staff met with both Steve and with Dale Wiebe, the executive director, the other day, talked about some things. And I think I understood you and Dale to say something about the possibility of some day camp opportunities this coming summer. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit and tell us what's coming down the pipe?
Absolutely. So unlike last year where we had too many campers to switch everything up, we were able to prepare this year. So from the very beginning, we knew we wanted to do more than we did last year. We have more knowledge. We have more we can do. And so we created, instead of overnight camps, day camps to replace that.
Okay.
We've cut down on our maximum capacity to about 50%. So typically in 2019, we would have had about 2,400 camper spots.
Okay.
We now have about 1,000.
Okay.
And so that shows a bit of the change. But the end of February, we launched registration. We have over 700 campers signed up already.
At this point?
Right now for day camp.
Fantastic.
So there are still spots available. Some filled up faster than others.
Okay.
But we basically took our normal 5-day junior camp for grades 3 to 6 and we just turned it into a day camp.
Okay.
And so specifically for local families, that's a good option. We recognize our Winnipeg people probably can't drive in every day,
Right.
but we also don't have as many spots at this point. We continue to work with local governing authorities to figure out what is it going to look like for summer camp so that we can plan and prepare. But we felt confident taking the 2020 rules, applying them to this year, and then trying to work within that and then get more updates as we get closer. And so again, amazing response. We had hundreds of campers sign up in that first 3 hours of registration.
Wow.
Really great response from parents and families. And we're hoping to fill up entirely and possibly, if possible, we want to expand. And as we know the rules, we can do that, but we really wanted to be confident in whatever we started with so that it could go forward instead of backward.
Excellent. So just to remind our viewers, in a day camp approach, what you're looking at is a daily drop-off and pick-up by the parents.
Right.
And once they've been dropped off at the camp, then of course your staff takes over from there, plans the activities during the day, and the parents will pick up at the end of the day and go back home again.
Yeah, we're running 8 o'clock to 8 o'clock.
Wow.
So kind of going for a 12-hour experience.
That's a long day for you guys.
Yeah, but it's shorter than a normal day. So we'll do our cleaning and do our paperwork and everything in the evenings when the campers are gone.
Right.
But we hope to get as many into our site as possible.
Okay. Now, does that mean that in terms of the programming while they're at the camp during the day? Given the fact that at this point we still have to do the social distancing and some masking requirements, that's sanitizing, how are you kind of working with that in terms of camp activities? Because if you think about a camp experience is always about being together, right?
Absolutely.
And so how are you kind of looking at doing that?
Yeah, and we don't have full guidelines at this point.
Okay.
We are kind of copying schools and daycares, where summer camp in some ways is childcare, and so throughout the summer that's the bit of the role that we take. And so we hope to be able to just replicate what we are doing already with kids, with children in various settings.
Right.
At this point, we anticipate some physical distancing required. We anticipate some mask wearing, like in schools, but at the same time, times where we won't have to do that. Okay. And it's new normal. We want to do whatever we can within the rules that we're given to allow children to come back to camp and experience that.
Wow.
And so we push forward, and we don't have all the answers, but we're okay with that because we know that in due time the rest of the details will come together. Right. And maybe that will mean we can have more campers. We don't know.
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so now as let's say I'm the parent of a day camper who wants to come, and I may have a curiosity question. So what do you do with food in a case like that? Does your kitchen staff have individual meals for everybody kind of marked out, or what do you do with that?
You ask good questions. We don't totally know. We were able to run our LDP program last year with kind of our regular system where people lined up, they were served, we had markers on the floor. We would anticipate copying that system. We're capable of individual meals, and we might do 2 meal times or a shift, or we might have a big tent outside. We are very open to all the possibilities, and as soon as we have a bit more clear guidelines, then we can kind of see what our numbers and what our cohorts and how that works with staffing. We're blessed with a lot of space though between our chapel and our dining hall and a big field that we actually usually have a tent on it for spring. And so being able to, with only 50% of the occupancy, we have a lot of freedom to be able to do things.
You've got a lot of space to work with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Outstanding. So when you think about Winkler Bible Camp and some of the things that are going on this year in terms of day camp experiences, are there any developments coming up at the camp, expansions, or where's the camp going in terms of being able to provide people coming there with new things? What's happening that way?
We have not stopped.
Okay.
We may not have had people on site, but we took that as an opportunity.
Okay.
We have redone activities, we built new activities. We have removed our entire ropes course that was 20 to 30 years old.
Okay.
And we are in the middle of building an entirely new obstacle course, very similar, but updated and brand new. We've created a new low-line zip line, but with 4 side-by-side. So it'll be a quad race down the hill on this low-level zip line. We're moving our bikes course to an entirely new location, just to do something better, do it differently. And that's kind of just that's all new, never mind the improvements in the work. We recognize that without groups in the warm weather of last year, we had an opportunity to do something that we normally can't. Because usually it's winter when we aren't busy with groups and on activities. And so it's been just a lot of change and transformation. We removed our old climbing tower that we just hadn't used in several years because it was no longer deemed safe. But now we cleared that whole space out. So we're ready for something new there. We don't even know what yet, but it's a space that's available.
So it's kind of like stay tuned?
Yeah, exactly. we like to change things. We like to think and make things better.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, and so just before we went on air here, you were talking a little bit about the petting barn. And you just mentioned something about a couple of peacocks.
Yes,
Tell us a little bit about that.
We are building our petting zoo back up. Last summer we didn't buy new animals. We didn't have anyone there to see them. And so this year we continued to purchase, and we did get both a male and a female peacock. We have a hedgehog, just barely. We have a new ball python. Lots of new animals in addition to our sheep and our goats, and we are breeding, so we plan to have babies for summer. And so there'll be lots of cute, adorable animals running around. And it's one of our many fun, engaging, interactive ways to teach and get to know campers better. And I personally like the petting zoo because it's such a clear view of God's creation and the uniqueness. And to go from cage to cage, learning about each animal and how they're made and how they protect themselves, I just am always reminded of God's creativity and the way that He's just blessed us with animals to learn about Him.
Wow, that's
fantastic.
Such a connection
to nature.
Yeah. So now, when we met with you and Dale here at the church the other day to talk about a few things, one of the things I really sensed was that Winkler Bible Camp certainly, obviously, sees itself as a ministry. And that ministry connects itself to the community and to area churches. Can you tell us a word about how important those connections are?
I mean, our connection to our community is one that we are blown away by. And we sometimes, if we ever get used to it, we are reminded every time we talk to other camps who are more remote, camps who are maybe near a bigger city where there's more competing organizations. The support, the way that people come behind us from a very personal, one-to-one, sending a camper, volunteering, sending a donation, all the way up to the businesses that are sending workers in their slow time or donating construction supplies. We are able to build and maintain and care for things at a much higher level than a lot of organizations we know because of the local support, because people choose to support us and get behind what we're doing. And our drive-thrus, I think, were one of the more recent reminders that we knew it was different and we didn't really know what to expect. And every time we were overwhelmed to the point that we're saying we want to do another drive-thru, but we're going to have to pre-order meals because we just can't handle everyone, and we want to make sure everyone gets food. And so to be overwhelmed that way, to actually, it's abundantly more than we even imagine, is the common theme within the support that we've seen. And we just recognize without the churches, without individuals, we are just a big space. We need the people to join us, both as participants and as donors, to help make it all happen. And just blessed by this area and the heart people have for children's ministry and camp. And blessed by the history of people who've gone on before us. The camp's been around since 1949,
Wow.
and we continue to hear stories of people who were there near the beginning, and it's a beautiful thing to hear.
Isn't it wonderful to be able to see the impact of God's ministry on lives that doesn't just impact just a small slice, but literally generations of people that have come to know the Lord, have grown in the Lord. They're now contributing in churches, in the community, of course back at Winkler Bible Camp, just a variety of places where the impact of that camp has just made a real change in people's lives.
It is an honor we feel every day to work there,
Right.
to be there, to be part of God's big picture and plan,
Right.
And to continue to hear the lives that have been impacted.
Right. See, one of the things that we as a pastoral staff talked about with Steve and with Dale is a very flexible sort of mutual commitment. The church to Winkler Bible Camp and Winkler Bible Camp to the church, so that there's that sense of camaraderie, there's that sense of belonging and relationship, so that we both mutually grow together in the Lord. And so I'm sorry I didn't happen to bring the brochure with me this afternoon, but the brochure just outlined a lot of things that Winkler Bible Camp is willing to do in terms of its ministry to the churches, be it through providing a couple of camping spots available at the camp, that the church can give out to different people in the church as a ministry, as a blessing, to serving in the local church in terms of speaking and providing Sunday morning service opportunities, that sort of thing. Just all kinds of ways. And to me, that speaks of vision. And that's one of the things that we've always appreciated about Winkler Bible Camp is the continued big vision that is there. And so it bodes well for the community. So Steve, when you think about Winkler Bible Camp and some of the things that are happening, if you could look into the camera and say something to those who are viewing about the camp and about your heart and your passion, what would you say to our viewers about the camp?
I mean, it's amazing to be there and to see the behind the scenes every day of what's going on. And we just really look forward to the time where we can have people back there. That's the biggest thing that we're missing. We hear from our staff regularly, I miss going to an activity with a school group or a group of campers or whatever it is. But that's our heart. Our heart is we build the physical and we have skilled people for that.
Right.
We plan and we do paperwork, but we love having people there and interacting with them and sharing Jesus in a very tangible way and providing an opportunity for people who may not be ready to hear about it in other settings to just be at a climbing wall or be on a horse and we just have conversations. And so we're just, we're so excited to keep doing that.
Right.
And we've been working hard, but we're dreaming, but it's not quite as fulfilling as actually being with the people. And
Boots on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. We're just excited for more of that and just thankful for everything that we've gotten to do so far.
Good to hear. Now, just remind me too, I know that every year at Winkler Bible Camp, somewhere, April, May, somewhere in there, you have a work day.
We do.
Is that something that is, again, anticipated, or how does that come together?
Well, there's certainly work to be done.
Okay.
It'll depend on probably our regulations at that point. It's usually end of April.
Okay.
It's typically cleaning all of our cabins, all of our buildings, getting ready for the people coming in May. We are definitely in the middle of a lot of physical projects of fixing and making better, and just as soon as the snow is gone, and we're thankful for an early snow season that way, we're outside working. Right. And so, at this point, I will say we want to do Camp Work Day. We'll know, in a month or so exactly, but that's exactly the thing we want to present to churches. That's how we can be mutually working together. Right. A couple of small groups makes our group size 3 times the normal, Camp Work Day size or something like that. There's just tangible ways that we can work shoulder to shoulder. Right.
And one of the things I remember from our discussion the other day was that both you and Dale remarked at how God has always provided just the right people kind of at the right time in the right place to help you put different projects together with the right skill sets. And again, it's just a sign of God's care and His presence in the ministry, and just what a wonderful opportunity to be able to be part of that camping experience with Winkler Bible Camp. Wow. Well, it's been good to have you with us today, Steve, and to share a little bit about the camp. And I just want to remind you as viewers to keep praying for the camp. And by the way, if you'd like to get in touch with the camp, please do so. I'm sure Steve would love to hear from you, and variety of different. Maybe you'd like to volunteer for something or get involved in some way. Please give Steve a call at the camp, and I'm sure they'd love to hear from you and to continue to pray for the camp.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, we're going to bring our time live with the staff segment to a close this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll look forward to being with you next Thursday again. God's blessings, and enjoy the day because spring's on the way. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.